For our first few lessons, we're going to be using the long, thin modelling balloons. This one is called a 260, okay? And it's called a 260 because when it is fully inflated, it is approximately 2 inches in diameter. And when fully inflated right to the very tip, it is approximately 60 inches long. So that's why we have the name 260. So we're going to be using 260s for the next few lessons. You're going to need some good quality balloons, and the two brands that I recommend are Latex and Semtex, and that is based on my own experience. So these are the two brands that I use. You're also going to need a hand pump. I recommend this Latex hand pump. They're not expensive, but it is worth getting a good quality hand pump. So take your hand pump and put your 260 on the top of your hand pump, okay? And then inflate the balloon all the way. So you need to keep an eye on the tip, and when you get to the end, stop. Okay? So if you overinflate the balloon will pop. Okay. Now, as we go along, I'm going to explain why certain things happen and why we do things certain ways. When I first started twisting, I found that a lot of the tutors on the videos would explain what to do. They didn't necessarily explain why to do it. So as we go through this series, I'm going to try to explain why we do things. Okay. Now, this balloon, as we've inflated it, I don't know whether you can see, but you will see that this part of the balloon, the beginning part, is a little bit wider than this part, and that is because it has stretched more here as we've inflated it. So if we start to work with this balloon straight away, there's a good chance that it will pop because it's under a lot of tension here. So we need to just let a little bit of air out. So all I do is I just let the air out just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit, okay, until I can feel this part here softening, okay? So some instructors call that burping the balloon. So you can either soften it or you can burp it, depending which expression you want, okay? And now we need to tie this balloon. So make sure you've got a good bit of stretchy balloon here, and I put that neck in between these two fingers, okay? Trap the neck there, and then pull the neck over the top of your thumb, bring it underneath the balloon, so it appears here, and then hold on to that nozzle and just pull it through, and that has tied the balloon. It's really important to have a good tying technique, and when I first started balloon twisting, I used to tie the balloons a different way. I now can't remember how I used to do it, but I had a different technique, and I found that my fingers were getting quite sore. The more balloons that I was twisting, the worse my fingers became. And I find that with this new technique that I use, which I've now been using for a number of years, I don't get that soreness in the fingers. So practice tying, and make sure that you tie the balloons the same way whenever you tie off, and soon you'll be doing it without thinking, you know, just become automatic. Okay, so this is what our balloon should look like at the moment. It should be rounded at the end, so it's fully inflated. So this is our 260, 2 inches in diameter, approximately 60 inches long. We start from the nozzle end of the balloon, and just curve your balloon over and hold on to the knot and nozzle and the top of the balloon. So we've just got this loop, and this twist, a lot of twisters call it a loop twist or a flower petal twist. So you will find as you start to learn about the balloons that we do call things slightly different names depending on who you're watching. And what we need to do is just hold on to this here, take hold of this side of the balloon, grip the top here and twist. Just twist them together like that and turn that a few times, okay? I'm still holding on to the knot and nozzle, which I get hold of and I pass it through the loop, okay? So you can see that that knot is now on this side, and that is because if I now shake this loop, it's going to be quite difficult for that to come undone, okay? So that's a good habit to get into, okay? Now, take the end of your balloon, the rounded end, and just pass that through the centre of that loop. Pull it down a little way. So there you have your pirate sword. In this lesson, I'm going to show you different ways to make a balloon dog. And we're going to start with the simplest design first. And you're going to need a good quality hand pump. This is the one I like to use, it's the Latex hand pump. And we're going to inflate our 260 with 6 strokes of the hand pump. And this is how I count. So 1 stroke, 2 strokes, 3 strokes, 4 strokes. So that's how I count the strokes of the hand pump, okay? So put your 260 on top of the hand pump, and then we inflate. So we'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And we're going to let out a little bit of air. We're going to soften that balloon because it's tight here, it's under tension. So I'm just going to let out a little bit of air. I can feel it softened a little bit. And now I'm going to tie. So as in lesson 1, we trap the balloon between our fingers. We bring it over the top of our fingers. We pass that nozzle between our fingers and we just pull it through. So you'll notice that the balloon is not fully inflated. We've got about a 3-inch tail here. So if I put my hand up, for me, that's about a 5-finger tail, okay? So measure your fingers against this tail and see how many fingers that is for you. But for me, that's a 5-finger tail. To twist our balloon dog, we start at the knot end where the knot and nozzle is, okay? And fold your balloon over. And then I like to measure a bubble of about 3 inches. So I want a bubble here of about 5 fingers, and I want another bubble at the top of about 5 fingers. So that when I split this balloon in half, this is approximately 10 fingers for me, okay? And then what I want to do is just put my hands either side, and in the middle here, I'm just going to twist. So I just twist, and I twist that several times, okay? So I've got a 5-finger bubble here, and I've got a 5-finger loop here. So we've got our nose and we've got our ears. So we want to make another loop here. And I want to make a bubble of about 5 fingers again, but I just want to have a little bubble here. So I take hold of this and I twist here, okay? And then I twist and twist and twist, okay? So again, I've got a bubble of about 5 fingers. But I've got a little bubble here of about 2 fingers. So we've got the nose, the ears, the neck, and the dog's front legs. Okay? And we're going to want a little body. So I'm going to twist here. And again, I want 5 fingers here and 5 fingers up here. And I'm going to twist in the middle. So I twist here. So this is the easiest way to make a balloon dog. Your tail may be slightly different to this one. Yours may be fully inflated. You may have a slightly longer tip here, a little bit here that's not inflated. That really doesn't matter. So that's your first balloon dog. So practice this until you're confident making a balloon dog this way. What I like about balloon art is there are so many different ways to do things. So I'm now going to show you a different way to make a balloon dog. So I'm using a blue 260 and I'm going to inflate it with 5 strokes of the Latex hand pump. And when you're using your hand pump, it's really important to ensure that the pump is down, is properly down and in that position. Because if you start up here, you're not going to get a full stroke of the hand pump. You know, if you start here with it fully extended, or you think it's fully extended, it could actually be a little way down and you don't realise. So I always start with the pump in the downward position and I make sure it's properly down. So we're inflating with 5 strokes of the hand pump, and there's something I'm going to show you as I inflate. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And at this point, I remove my pump straight away usually, but I'm hanging on to it quite deliberately to show you that this balloon is going down, and that's because I've left it on my pump. And so if you don't take the hand pump off, the balloon off the hand pump straight away, you will lose air through the pump and it will come out through the end of the pump, okay? So when you're inflating, it's important that you do however many strokes you want to do, and then straight away you take your balloon off the hand pump. Otherwise, your balloon won't be inflated as much as you think it is, okay? So we'll do that again. So this time we're going to do it properly. So we're going to inflate 5 strokes of the hand pump, and then as soon as we finish that last stroke, we remove the balloon from the end of the pump. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take your balloon off and trap that nozzle. You see, I've got into that habit, I always return the hand pump to that starter position, okay? And again, we're going to soften, okay? And I'm going to tie the balloon. If you need practice tying, I've shown you earlier in the video how to tie in lesson 1. So I'm expecting you to be getting used to tying now, okay? And we've got a nice long tail, uninflated section here. We call that the tail of the balloon. Okay, so I reckon I've got a tail of about 4 inches or so probably about 7 fingers for me. Okay, and with this balloon dog, we're going to make a series of what we call cylinder twists, or I tend to say I'm going to twist off a bubble, but balloon artists call the bubbles different things. So cylinder twists, sausage twists, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so I'm going to use my hand and fingers to measure a bubble of about 5 fingers, and then I'm going to make a twist at approximately that point. It doesn't have to be exact, but approximately that point here, I'm going to start to squeeze the balloon and then twist with this. Okay, I'm going to put several twists into this bubble. Okay, and then I hold on to this. If you let go of this bubble, it will come undone. Okay, and you will have to reinstate it. So hold on to this whilst you start to make bubbles in the next part of the balloon. And I want to make a bubble that is a similar sort of size to this one. So the easiest way to do that is to fold the balloon over and to make your twist here. Okay? So we've got 2 bubbles or 2 cylinders. Okay? And I want to make a 3rd bubble that's the same size as this one. So fold your balloon over and then make a twist here. Okay, so you've got 3 bubbles, and it's really important that you keep hold of this first bubble here, because if you let it go, it will all unravel. Okay, so bring the balloons together, hold on here, and get hold of these 2 and just twist them together. Okay. And put in lots of twists, okay? Now you can let go of that one, because we've locked this one in place by making lots of twists. This first bubble now can't come undone, okay? So that's what you've got. Next, I want to twist a little neck for my dog. So I only want a little bubble of about 2 fingers. So I measure that approximately. I start to squeeze my balloon together and I twist, okay? Okay, so there we have our dog's nose, ears, and a small neck. Again, keep hold of this bubble, because we haven't locked anything into this section here, so it could come undone if you let go. And we want to make a bubble of about 5 fingers, so same sort of size to this first one. So very approximately, twist off the bubble here, and we're keeping hold. This little bubble here at the neck, a few more twists in, and then make another bubble to match this one. So again, we're twisting. Okay, so we've got little bubble and 2 bubbles that are approximately the same size. And then we can fold this in half, take hold of your balloon there, and then twist, 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 twist. Okay? And now we can let go. of that neck because that is all locked in position, okay? So we want to make a little body. I'm going to go for a bubble of about 5 fingers. So again, start to squeeze your balloon and twist, okay? Twist, 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 okay? And then I want to make another bubble that is about the same size as this one. So again, measure approximately and start to twist. Okay, twist, twist, twist. Okay, so make sure you're still holding on to this bubble here. If you let go, this section here will come undone. Okay? And we want to make another bubble of about 5 fingers. So again, twist. So we've got 3 bubbles, bring the balloons together, hold this section and twist them around. Okay? And there you've got a balloon dog. Okay. Now there are different things that we can do with the tail. You may find that your tail is fully inflated, and if it is, that's great. You've made a balloon dog and you don't need to do anything extra. You may want to leave your dog like this with its tail and then this little uninflated section at the end. These are your choices to make, so it's important to understand that this is an art form, and just because someone else's balloon dog looks a particular way, it doesn't mean yours has to if you don't want it to. So you can make these design choices yourself right from the very beginning with your earliest models and sculptures. So you decide how you want the tail to look. But there is a little technique that I want to show you. And it's called making a poodle tail. And when I first started, I found these poodle tails very difficult to make. Sometimes it worked for me, sometimes it didn't. And that's because I realised that some of the other tutorials that I was watching were missing out a step. So I take hold of the uninflated bit here, I pinch it together, and then I just take the tip and I snap out the end a few times. And what I'm doing, I'm just stretching the latex out there, the end of the balloon. So these balloons are made from natural latex rubber. Over time, if these balloons were in the ground, they would biodegrade and break down. So they do biodegrade when in the earth. So this is a natural product. They're not made from plastic. This brand of balloons, they are 100% natural latex rubber. So the next thing I do to make the poodle tail is I just twist off a little bubble here. And it doesn't really matter how large or small that is, but that's maybe 3 fingers or so. And then I hold on to this bubble. So I'm maintaining that twist there. And then what I do, I just wrap my fingers very gently around this uninflated section here. So I'm not gripping it tightly, I'm just very gently holding it. And then at the same time as I hold it, I press down onto the air in this bubble. And I'll show you what happens. It's like a little bit of magic. Okay, so the air moves from that section here to the end, and you can now let go. And that's how to make a poodle tail. I'm using a red 260, so it's a Latex balloon, 260 because when fully inflated it's approximately 2 inches in diameter and 60 inches long, and I'm using my Latex hand pump, which is my preferred hand pump. So we're going to inflate this balloon all the way, so we don't need to count how many strokes of the hand pump we're using, but as we inflate we do need to keep an eye on the tail. And as I said in the last video, when you've finished inflating, so inflate, and when you've got to the point where your balloon is fully inflated, very quickly take the balloon off the end of the pump, otherwise your balloon will start to deflate and you will lose air through the pump. So we're putting our 260 on the end of the pump and fully inflate, and as soon as you get the balloon fully inflated, take it off the pump. So that's fully inflated. And again, I'm returning my pump to the downward position. Okay, so I'm just going to let out a little bit of air, But I don't want to let out so much air that the tip starts to deflate. So I just want to soften it just to reduce the pressure here, okay? And then I tie in the usual way. Now bring the two ends of your balloon together, okay? And right at this point here, just take hold of them. So we're holding them together here, squeezing them, and then I take hold of both bubbles and just twist them together, okay? Now to make sure this twist doesn't come undone, I'm just going to take one bubble and pass it through the middle there, and that ensures that that twist is not going to come undone, okay? And then what we want to do is at about this point, we want to move the centre of the balloon down, okay? So we've got that heart shape, but if we let go at this point, the balloon will just pin straight back up. So hang on to the balloon here, and then with your other hand, just massage the tip here. We call this a shock twist. You can do it a little bit harder if you need to, but we're just kind of massaging, and that will give you the beginnings of your heart shape. So, and we need to do the same here with the lobes, okay? So we can shock this a little bit more to get more of a pronounced shape. And then what I like to do as well is hold on to this section here, and I shock this lobe, and then I move over to this side, and I shock, twist this lobe here, and that gives us a really nice and very pronounced heart shape. There are some designs where you might need your balloon to be just a little bit longer than usual. So these 260s, as I've said in earlier lessons, are called 260s because when they're inflated, they are 2 inches diameter approximately, and approximately 60 inches long. But sometimes you need just a little bit of extra length, and there are a couple of ways you can do that, you can achieve that. And the first one is to just pinch hold of the tip end, and with your thumb and forefinger, just drag that balloon through your thumb and forefinger, okay? And what that's doing, you're stretching the latex. So these balloons are made out of 100% latex. If you're using the Qualitex or the Sempertex brands that I've recommended, these balloons are 100% natural latex rubber. And so it's like a rubber band, and you can stretch it a little bit. And for this one balloon butterfly, I recommend you stretch the balloon just that little bit. So we want to inflate to a 4-finger tail. Okay, so that was 7 strokes of the hand pump. Okay, now what I'm not going to do, I'm just going to put a twist in that to trap the air. So what I've said to you before is let some of the air out to soften the balloon here. We're going to soften the balloon in a slightly different way today. So I want you to tie a knot as you would normally, but don't pull it tight. So be very gentle when you finish that knot off. And that gives you what we call a soft knot. So what you can actually do is take hold of that knot and roll that soft knot along the end. So you've now got just that little bit of extra balloon. You can squeeze your balloon here and you get just that little bit of extra. The other way we can make our balloons a little bit longer is to give our balloons a bit of a squeeze here and stretch the balloon once it's inflated. Okay? So we're just running our hands, our balloon through our hands, and that's just stretching the balloon. Okay. So first of all, twist off a small bubble of approximately 2 fingers in size. And then I want you to make a large loop. And then take that small bubble and just pass it through the centre of that loop. And then split your balloon in half. So just fold your balloon over, pinch the balloon at the end here, hold on to it, and then just rotate that top bubble. And that splits that large loop in half. and then push these two sides together and twist. And we can take that bubble and just wrap it round, and that's just going to lock everything together. So those aren't going to come undone now. And then I want you to make another loop. So I want you to leave yourselves with a little bubble here of about 1.5 inches or so. And then twist that loop together. Okay, so you've got this little bubble poking out here. And then we want to take this loop, fold it in half, and we're going to do the same thing that we did here. Split it in half, so pinch hold of it and twist. Just rotate that top bubble, and that splits the bubble in half. Push the two sides together, and then you can get hold of everything and just twist it all together. Okay. Just position your bubbles. So we want to just move these two loops to the side. We want to position these two loops this way. Okay. And on mine, I need this bubble to be at the bottom and this one to be at the top. So I just need to move them round. Okay. And there you've got a one balloon butterfly. I'm going to show you how to make a balloon daisy. And we're going to be using two 260s for this design, plus just the tip of another 260. So take a 260, I'm using yellow. Make sure your balloon is in the down position, and we're going to inflate, and we're going to inflate with 6 strokes of a hand pump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And then take the balloon off the hand pump straight away, and that prevents your balloon deflating by losing air through the hand pump. So if you're finding that your balloons are a lot softer than you expected, or they're not quite as long as you needed them to be, the chances are you're not taking them off the hand pump quickly enough. And if you're also finding that when you have inflated your balloons, they're popping very quickly, there could be a number of reasons for this. It could be that the balloons are old, or they haven't been stored correctly. And these balloons do biodegrade, so it's important that we store them out of direct sunlight and in a watertight container. So if you've got something like a Ziploc bag, transfer your balloons into the Ziploc bag and zip them up and keep them in a drawer somewhere or in a cupboard, and that will prolong their life. So these balloons don't last forever, but they can last quite a few years if they are stored correctly. If your balloons are popping and you're storing them correctly, your balloons are still popping, it could be there's just a little bit too much pressure in this first part of the balloon. And so to relieve that, we've just let a little bit of air out. So I'm just slightly deflating the balloon, just slightly. And put a twist in the balloon here, and then tie. And if you want to recap on the tying technique, check out lesson 1 where I showed you how to make a pirate sword. So we've got a balloon with a tail of about 5 fingers or so, and I'm going to show you how to make a 5-petal daisy flower, okay? And we're using techniques that you've already learned. So techniques that I'm using to make this daisy, they're the same techniques we use for the pirate sword for making a loop. So just fold your balloon over, and I always like to take hold of that knot and nozzle, grab hold of it between my thumb and forefinger and hold on to that. And then I'm measuring the bubble that I'm going to make, the loop that I'm going to make. And I'm aiming for loops of about 4 fingers. So at that point, I'm twisting a bubble, and I'm still holding on to that knot and nozzle, which I pass through the centre of that loop, okay? So that means that's going to be very difficult for that just to unravel, okay? And then make another loop to match this one. So I've just looped the balloon over. I'm using my fingers to match, but I'm also comparing the 2 loops. I put a little twist in that, and then I'll compare, and those are close enough. So I'll carry on twisting, okay? And then make a 3rd loop to match these. So again, quick comparison, check with the fingers, and then just twist. And I tend to twist once and then just compare again and then twist again. When I've got 3 loops, I like to start to just swap them around, trade places one with the other, and that just locks them all together and means that they're going to make it more difficult for them to come unravelled. And then we want to make a 4th loop, okay? So 4 fingers and twist, okay? And then just wrap that in with some of the other petals, and that's what we've got at the moment. And then I'm going to make 1 more loop. 4 fingers, and then just measure, and then twist, and check, twist some more, and then just wrap that in with the other petals, okay? And then just arrange everything. I'm fully inflated at the end, so I'm just going to twist off a bit of excess at the end, so an uninflated section. I'm holding onto this, and I'm just going to snip a little hole, and then I'm slowly going to let out the air. If you do that too quickly when you're fully inflated, you can just pop everything and end up with not as much slack here as you would like. And then I'm going to tie a knot here in the normal way, okay? Now, one thing you can do, you don't actually have to tie that knot. You can take, instead of tying, or even as well as, you can take this bit of slack and just wrap it around these loop twists lots of times, and that can very often save you the need to tie a knot, okay? So the latex likes to stick to the latex, and then I'm just cutting off that little bit of excess. We've got our 5 petal flower. Next, take a 260 and inflate to almost a 2 to 3 finger tail. Now, I didn't actually count how many pumps I was doing there, how many strokes of the hand pump, but you can check. You've got two fingers there, okay? And then just let a little bit of air out and tie. So when I first started twisting, I always obsessed with the videos that I was watching. I was always obsessing and thinking how many strokes of the hand pump do I need to do for that bubble and for the next bubble, and it gets very difficult to remember. The more designs and models that you learn how to make, it gets difficult to remember how many strokes of the hand pump you need for a particular design. So it's good practice to start maybe just remembering what kind of tail that you need, or not worrying about it. You can always add in another balloon if you've not got enough, or let a little bit of air out if you've got too much. So take the knot and nozzle and wrap that in to your flower. So just pull that knot and nozzle tightly in the flower and wrap around. Okay? So that's what you've got. And then what we can do is part way down, we've got quite a lot of balloon here. So you can shock twist here just by massaging, and that's going to make your flower just have this kind of almost right angle here, so it's looking straight on at you. And we just want to make a couple of loops here. So I'm going to make a loop there. Again, the way we made our balloon dog. So just wrap that in and make another loop to match this one. Okay? And then just twist. Okay? Wrap those around. And then you can position the stem going through the middle of the balloons, these 2 loops, and the stem coming out through the top. And I like to just massage or shock twist the ends of the flower petal just so they point upwards a little bit. And the other thing you can do is just slightly push those 2 petals together, and that will make this part of the daisy stand more upright. Next, I just want the tip of a balloon. So as you make more designs and models, you'll find you cut bits off, and we like to save the tips, and we can use these little bits of excess, or scraps as we call them, within our designs. So this 260, I've used for some other design, and I've just been left with this section of a couple of inches, and I just need to put a little bit of air into that, okay? So I only want a little bubble of a couple of fingers. So what I'm going to do is just twist off a small bubble and then let the air out from what's left, and then tie. Okay, so that's what I've got. And then I'm just going to wrap that bubble and tip into my flower, and I'm going to cut off this little bit of excess here. I'm just going to cut that off. And then you've got a really pretty balloon daisy flower. I'm going to show you how to make a balloon swan and the techniques that we'll be using. I'll be introducing the technique of pressure fitting, and we're also going to be using the shock twisting technique that you've already learned in previous lessons. So take a 260 in white and your hand pump, and make sure that your hand pump is all the way down. And I'm going to inflate the balloon and just leave a tip of about 4 fingers or so, 3 to 4 fingers. So we'll inflate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I've immediately removed the balloon from the hand pump so I don't lose any air. I'm going to soften the balloon slightly by letting a little bit of air out, and I'm going to tie. Okay, so the tying technique, if you need to revisit that, check out lesson 1 where we made the pirate sword. Okay, so this is going to be our swan's beak, and we want to twist off a bubble for the neck that is approximately 6 inches. Okay, and then bring the end of your balloon here and just wrap that neck and nozzle through a few times. So you've got a big loop and the swan's neck and beak. And we're now going to split this balloon in half. And this is quite a handy technique to have as well. So if you're wanting to split a loop bubble, a flower petal bubble, a loop bubble in half like this, put the balloons together and pinch the end here. So whilst you're pinching hold of this end, just twist the top balloon, or the bottom, it doesn't matter, but just twist the top or the bottom. That splits your balloon in half. So you've got 2 bubbles now that are pretty much the same size. And then what we just want to do now is take hold of these 2 sections, bring them together and twist. Okay, so that's what you've got. You've got the 2 loops and you've got the swan's neck. Okay, next, take one of your loops and push it through the centre of the other one. Okay, so this is where the pressure fitting comes in. There's nothing holding these 2 balloons together other than the pressure of the balloons against each other. Now at the moment this is upside down, so I'll just turn it the right way up. So these are the swan's wings, and then we've got the swan's tail coming out here. And then just take the swan's neck and just push the bottom of it in between these 2 balloons here. So again, that's just pressure fitted. So to get the shape of the swan's neck, we need to bend the swan's neck over and just massage the balloon a bit here. So I'm just massaging it and snapping it between my fingers, and we'll see how that goes. Sometimes you need to do it a little bit more. So don't worry that the necks come out, you can reinstate that. So just massage this area here. And it's the warmth of our hand that is distorting the shape of the swan's neck. And there you've got a 1 balloon swan using just a 260. We only need to inflate using 1 stroke of the hand pump. So put your 260 onto the hand pump and then inflate with just 1 stroke, and then quickly remove the balloon from the pump to avoid losing air through the pump, and take it off. So there you go, we've just got one puff of air and tie in the usual way. We start at the knotted end and just twist a very small bubble of a couple of fingers. Okay, And then we want to make an ear. So I'm going to make a loop. Some people call these ear twists or loop twists. Okay, so I've got a loop of about 3 fingers. I'm holding my thumb here to just keep that bubble in place, and then I'm going to twist this loop here. Okay, so we've got the little face, nose, little face, and first ear. And I want to make another loop to match this one. Okay, so measure the loop as best you can against this one, and then just about this point, twist another loop. Okay, so those are very close in size. It's difficult to get things the exact size, but you can see we've got a little mouse with 2 ears and a little body and a very long tail. To draw the face, I'm using a Sharpie fine point, and I always start on the left, because if we start on the left and work to the right, we're not going to smudge the ink on the left hand side. So just a little eye, and another one on this side, and then a little smile, and there you have a little mouse. I'm going to show you how to make a simple balloon bow. This balloon includes a pinch twist, so I'm going to show you how to make a pinch twist as part of this design. So you're going to need a 260 and inflate the balloon to a 2-finger tail. Okay, and then tie. So I did soften a little bit there. We want to make the tail of the bow, one of the tails. So I'm going to twist off a bubble that is about 4 to 5 inches. Okay, and then as we did for the pirate sword, make a loop. Okay, and if I spread my hand this way, make a handstand, that's about the size of the loop, so maybe another 5 inches, and then twist. Okay, and then make another loop to match this one. I'm just going to soften my balloon slightly, it was feeling a little bit full, and measure the 2 bubbles together and then twist. Okay, and then I just like to check that they're a similar size and just wrap those 2 together so they're not going to come undone. Okay, now what you'll notice, if we leave the bow like this, it's going to sit like that. And if you're not confident with this next stage, where I'll show you how to make a pinch twist, then you can always make a bow like this. And as you become more confident with your pinch twists, you know, you can move on to the next stage. But if you just find the next stage too difficult, then you can leave your bow like this. So we really want the loops of our bows to sit like this. And that's why we need to make a pinch twist, because a pinch twist will hold everything in position and will stop the bow sitting this way. So what you need to do is just give your balloon a squeeze to make sure everything's nice and soft, and then just twist off a bubble here. Okay, and then what you need to do is fold your balloon over, grab hold of that bubble, pull it out, and then twist it round. So pull it out and twist it round. Okay, and that gives you a little bubble that will hold the ends of your bow in place. Okay, now you will see that this tail is a little bit shorter than this one. So because I tied a soft knot, I can just pull that down and just lengthen, just squeeze the air into the end, and that has levelled up those 2 tails so they look a very similar length. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip off the end. I'm just going to trim this balloon and just snip off that bit of nozzle, so it just makes the end a little bit tidier. Okay, and you've got a really pretty bow there. If you like the rounded look of your bow, that's great, you can leave it like that. But if you want to square off the bow a little bit, you can use the technique that I showed you of the shock twist or the massaging. So this is more of a massaging of the balloon. So just part the loop, and with your hands just massage. All I'm doing is massaging the sides, and you can see the difference in the shape. So that's got more of a squared off look. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So just part the loop and cup your hands around this part here and just gently massage. Okay, and that gives you a squared off look. So there you've got a really easy bow that's great to add to your flower bouquets and your other designs. And you've mastered pinch twists. Pinch twists are probably the hardest technique that you will have to master in your balloon twisting journey, but they're well worth it because they can make such a difference to what you can create as a balloon artist. I'm going to show you how to make a palm tree, and as part of this design I'm going to be showing you how to spiral balloons together. For this design you're going to need 3 260 balloons, 2 in green, I'm using lime green, and a brown one, I'm using mocha brown. Using your hand pump, inflate the brown one fully. So as we get to the tip, we need to keep an eye on that tip so we don't overinflate. And then I'm just going to soften this balloon slightly, just letting a little bit of air out. And I put a twist in the balloon and then I tie. Okay, so we need to put our balloon tips together, the ends of the balloons together, and go to the bottom here. As with most things with balloon art, there's more than one way to do this, but what I like to do, or what I like to do in the beginning, is I like to put a twist here. So you don't actually have to do that, but when I was learning, I found it very helpful to do that. You split your balloon in half, and what you need to do is just wrap the balloons round one another, and you're endeavouring to create quite a tight spiral. So I'm just using my fingers to push the balloon through my hands, okay? And when I get to the top here, I just grasp the top of the 2 balloons and twist off 2 small bubbles, okay? And so you've got a nice tight spiral there. For some designs, you may want to pass the bubble just underneath between those two balloons to lock everything in position. But for this design, we don't need to do that. And by doing that, you can make the spiral less tight. So for this design, I like to leave it as it is. Next, take one of your 260s, and we want to inflate this to just a 2-finger tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So we've got a tail of, mine's just slightly longer than 2 fingers. I'm going to let a little bit of air out, just to soften, and then I'm going to tie my usual way. And first of all, I want to make a loop that is about 4 to 5 inches long, and then make another loop that is a little bit longer. Okay, and then you just want to twist those 2 together and take your knotty nozzle and pass that through. Okay, and then we want to make another bubble like this. So give your balloon a bit of a squeeze. And what you're doing, your job as a balloon twister is to manage the air within the balloons. So you need to be attentive to how your balloons are feeling. If your balloons are starting to feel like they're bulging slightly, then you've got too much air in that part of the balloon, and you just need to squeeze it slightly and send the air down towards the end where you've got a little bit of room. So the idea is that we're moving the air through the balloon and starting to fill up this tip. So this is our room for expansion, or our expansion chamber, if you like. So if your balloon's feeling a little bit full, just give it a little squeeze, and it will send some of the air down here. So we make another bubble to match this one, and if it's not exactly the same size, don't worry. You know, this is a tree. It doesn't have to be exactly the same size. and then make another bubble to match this one. So as close as you can in size to the first one. And then twist off a bubble. Twist that up. So we've got two sections to our palm tree now. And we can take this bubble and just pass it through, and that's just going to lock everything in position. And we want to make another one of these. Now, we're using this as our template, so we want a bubble to match this one. So measure it as close as you can do, and then twist off a bubble. And then you want to make another bubble to match this one. So let's see, how does that look? Match the two up, it's close enough. And twist those together. Pass that knot and nozzle through as we did before, so it doesn't come undone. And then we want to make another bubble to match this one. So twist that, and then make another loop, close as you can to that one, and then twist that, okay? And you can take that bubble through, just locks everything in place. And then we can take these two sections, and at the centres we can just put the centres together and then twist some of those loops and bubbles together, okay? And that's just going to bring everything together, okay? So we've combined the two. So this is one of those instances where you've not used all your balloon. So what I like to do is make my balloon nice and soft, and then I'm just going to use my scissors to cut here. And this is one of those instances where you've not used all your balloon. So you may want to put that to one side and keep it in a sealed bag along with your other bits of scrap and the ends of balloons, because we do have designs where we can use these, and provided we've stored them in an airtight container out of direct sunlight, then we can just use the ends. So it's quite handy to hang on to them, okay? And then do the same thing on this side. You may want to use a cutter, a quick cutter. If you've got one of those, and just discard that and put it to one side, okay? And then you can take these two ends and just tie them together. Okay. So that's what we've got. That's the top of our palm tree. Okay. So take the trunk of your palm tree and take those two bubbles and just wrap them into the centre of the leaves. Okay. And then move everything around so that the leaves are pointing downwards. So we've got this kind of downwards shape. I like to take the bubble with the smooth top and just move that to the top of the palm tree, and then the other one I leave at the back. So I have a front and a back usually to this design. So they have a balloon palm tree. We're going to create a spiral with these two balloons. So line the balloons up. Now, when I showed you how to do this balloon spiral for the palm tree, we put a split here. And I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to show you how it works if you're not putting that twist there. So what you want to do is just move the balloons around each other. And the tighter you can get your spiral, the better. Okay, so just go very slowly and steadily. And when you get to the end here, just take hold of the two balloons together and twist two bubbles together. Okay, and so that's the blade for your sword. For the handle, I'm using a black 260, which I'm inflating to a tail of about 3 fingers or so. And tie, soften and tie. So twist off a bubble that is about 4 inches or so, followed by a small bubble of about 1 inch or a couple of fingers. Okay, fold the balloon over and make another bubble to match this one. Okay, so that's what you've got. And make sure that you're keeping hold of this first bubble. If you let go of this first bubble, everything will come undone. Okay, so fold the balloon over, take hold of that knot and twist everything together. Okay, and take that knot and nozzle and pass it through. And now we can let go, because in doing that, we've secured everything in place. Okay, give your balloon a little bit of a squeeze just to soften it. So we want to make another bubble to match this one. So fold this over and twist off a bubble that's as close in size to this one as you can make it. And then twist another bubble of about 1 inch or 2 fingers. And then make another bubble to match this one. Okay? That's what we've got. Hold on to this or it will come undone. Fold over and twist these together. Okay, so that's what you've got. And then we want to make another bubble to match this one. Okay, and then make another bubble of about 1 inch or 2 fingers. Hold on to this, don't let it go, and twist off another bubble. Okay, and then twist everything together. Mine's fully inflated at the end here, so I'm just twisting off a little bubble at the end, finding my scissors, just popping the end, then take this bit of excess, wrap it around one of the pointy bits here, and just tie a knot, okay? And then you can pull that tightly, and then you can take your scissors or your quick cutter, whatever you're using, and just trim off the excess, okay? So that's what we've got. So next, take the 2 bubbles from your sword and put them together with your handle. You just grab out everything and just twist it all together. Okay, and position the bubbles so you've got one sticking out here and you've got one at the front here. There you've got your hilted sword.